The movie opens with a man running on a starry night. His name's Kevin, and he's a Chinese man who decided to run on the 10,000-mile Silk Road ultramarathon through the Iranian desert. It's a very hard marathon, filled with dangerous animals and high temperatures that Kevin has to face alone. He wants to prove, not only to himself, but to everyone who doubted him, that he's capable of making his dream of becoming a great runner come true. He loves running. For him, running is like a time machine. He remembers parts of his past with each mile he conquers. There's a flashback to how he started on his path as a marathon runner. We see a flashback to where, as a kid, Kevin was very poor. He resided with his father and older brother, Sean. His father was a runner, but he soon realized that he couldn't make any money running. With 2 kids to raise, he gave up on all his dreams and became a bitter man as a result. The money he makes as a taxi driver is barely enough for them. We watch as Sean starts stealing from the neighborhood stores, while Kevin follows him. Kevin looks up at his older brother. Sean is good at running, and he's very focused on his goals for the future. He wants to be a professional runner someday, a dream that Kevin soon starts sharing with him. When they are older, Kevin goes after Sean at his school to ask for a chance to run with the school's running team. Before he leaves home, his father warns him that running won't give him money, and that when he fails, he won't accept him back. Kevin is obstinate and stubborn. He doesn't care about what his father says. If his brother managed to enter the school's running team, so can he. When he arrives at the school, he begs the coach to take him in. The coach refuses, not seeing how Kevin could be an addition to the team. He's short, and his legs aren't long enough. Kevin disagrees, and promises he will be the best runner he has ever seen. The other students start laughing at him, finding him ridiculous and arrogant. Sean is embarrassed by his brother, and orders him to go back home. Kevin refuses. He pesters the coach until he orders his assistant to take Kevin home. His assistant is a pretty woman named Ellie. She's tall and slender, with a pretty face. Kevin is instantly taken by the woman, but when she refuses to help him, his mood sours. Ellie once ran too, but after suffering an accident, she retired. She helps the coach at the school to make some extra money, and the last thing she wants is to get involved in that mess. She complains to the coach, and Kevin insists he won't leave. Tired of his behavior, Sean orders him to go home. Kevin yells at his brother that he wants to win a running marathon, and use the money to pay for his college tuition. He's tired of being poor and living a hard life. The only way for him to get enough money using his skills is with the marathon. Sean scoffs at him, finding his idea ridiculous. He pushes him to the ground and orders him to go back home. Ellie feels bad for Kevin for a moment. He reminds her of herself and how lost she was before she started running. She politely offers him a hand to help him out, and Kevin stares at her with surprise. He notices that there are some scars on her arm, and her face is sympathetic. Kevin refuses her help and stands up on his own. He feels humiliated and wronged. Ellie watches him as he stares at the other boys running, a look of longing on his face. When the group of boys approaches them, one of them kicks Kevin's backpack away and calls him names. Ellie is ready to defend him, but Kevin starts throwing punches. Sean comes to his defense, and they all start fighting. Witnessing him fight for his honor ignites a flicker of curiosity in Ellie. She's intrigued by his unwavering determination in the face of so many refusals. Kevin suddenly runs away before the coach lectures him. Ellie and the coach watch him running with a look of wonder. Though he's short, he's very fast. After the practice, Sean asks the coach to allow his brother to train with them. The coach explains that there are no spots left in the team, but if Ellie wants to, she can train him. Kevin looks at Ellie as if she holds his future in her hands, yet she refuses. The coach comments that it's time for her to let go of her past, an allusion to her accident and her brother's passing away. Her brother ran too, but it's the same accident that hurt Ellie to the point she stopped running, eliminating him. Ellie still feels the weight of grief, and Kevin reminds her too much of her brother. The coach dismisses them, much to Kevin's chagrin. Once again, he informs the other runners that one day, he will beat all of them. Ellie finds him completely crazy, but there's something about him that gives her pause. She decides to give him a chance. If he beats her in a race, he can have a spot on the team. Kevin readily agrees. He thinks he knows everything about running, but it's quite obvious that he lacks the techniques. He wrongly believes that running as fast as possible in the beginning will make him win, but it's the opposite. He has to save his stamina for the end. Ellie ends up winning the race, though she's not feeling good. She has a heart condition that is very dangerous for her health. No one notices how hard she's breathing, and how she clutches at her chest. After the race, Ellie takes him home on her bike. On the way, though, Kevin yells at her that she's like everyone else. No one believes in him, but he knows he can be good. He only needs a chance. He abruptly jumps from her bike, snapping at her that he doesn't need her. Watching him walk away makes Ellie sad. She knows what it's like to desperately want to give your best, yet no one believes in you. For that reason, before Kevin can go too far, she informs him that she expects him to work hard during the summer. They go back to the school, and Kevin's training starts. Ellie won't take it easy on him. If he wants to show his potential, he will have to fight for it. As she prepares a place for him to sleep, Kevin watches her with a soft expression. She's the first person in his life to give him a chance. She suddenly appears even prettier than before, and his heart starts beating wildly as his eyes take on her facial features. While Kevin is getting ready to start another chapter in his life, his brother receives some worrying news. Sean dates a pretty, rich girl, and when he visits her, she informs him that she's pregnant. Sean has no job or prospects for the future. There's no way for him to take care of a baby. They will have to make some tough decisions. Kevin's first day of training is painful. Ellie is hard on him, always pushing him to his limits. She advises him to conquer his pain and make it a strength, instead of a weakness. Kevin takes all her advice to heart. He knows that if he wants to be the best, he has to be open-minded and ready to listen to those with more experience. After training, Ellie gives Kevin a pair of red sneakers that belong to her brother. During practice, she noticed that Kevin's sneakers are old, battered, and too big for him. Knowing that a pair of bad sneakers can hinder a runner, she gifts him the only thing she has left of her brother. Kevin has no idea the sneakers are precious to her, but he uses them well. Sean takes his girlfriend to an illegal clinic to eliminate their baby. They are both scared, especially the girl. Sean feels terrible for putting her through that, but he sees no way out. When they enter the room, his girlfriend is shaking and crying. Seeing her mental state, Sean changes his mind and takes his pregnant girlfriend back home. Though he has no idea how to be a good father, he will manage. Days go by, and Kevin gets better with Ellie's help. One day, after running for hours, he trips and hurts himself. Ellie takes care of his wound, while lecturing him about being careful. Kevin watches her taking care of him with fondness. After days of working together, his feelings for her only worsens. Ellie also feels something for him, though she struggles to admit it, even to herself. She's older than Kevin, and he can often be childish. At the same time, his tenacity, determination, and eagerness to win are admirable. After tending to his wound, she quickly leaves him after they get too close. When Kevin asks where she's going, she informs him she has a date. He's jealous, wondering what kind of man she likes, and if he has a chance. He follows her, running, and stalks her as she enters an orphanage. He watches as a little girl greets her with a hug, calling her mom. Kevin is bewildered, because he had no idea she had a daughter. The little girl sees him, and he mimics for her to be silent. She grins and agrees. Later on, Ellie leaves him a message saying that she wants to treat him on a date. She won't be alone, though. There's someone special that she wants to introduce to him. Moving on, Sean starts working for the owner of the illegal clinic, selling medicine for him. It's a dangerous job, and if he's caught by the police, his life is over. He refuses to allow his girlfriend and baby to suffer without money. He prefers to sacrifice himself and his career as a runner to make ends meet. Different from his brother, Kevin is doing well. He goes on a date with Ellie, wearing a suit. Ellie is with her daughter, and they both laugh at his formal clothes. Kevin doesn't mind. The date is really fun. The little girl's name is Minnie, and she's an orphan. Ellie, who's also an orphan, takes care of her whenever possible. She loves how Kevin is kind to Minnie, making her laugh and joking around. Minnie also roots for them, and even pushes the two of them to dance. Ellie tries very hard not to fall for Kevin. He's young, full of life and dreams. She's a bitter woman, haunted by her painful past and her constant grief. Despite all this, Kevin makes her feel alive again. With him, she's not the ghost of a former runner anymore. She's the master teaching her pupil. As for Kevin, he can barely contain his excitement when he goes back home. He has never had anyone like Ellie in his life. Someone who supports and pushes him to his limit. She wants to see him succeed, and that's all Kevin can ask for in a lover. Weeks go by, and Sean's baby is born, but he has a serious condition. Sean has to work more to pay for the treatment. Kevin has no clue about what's happening with his brother. One day, he sees Sean running from a group of men and goes after him. He finds out his brother has been doing an illegal job, and gets mad at him. He cannot believe Sean would be so stupid to do something like that. He could ruin his life. They argue, and Kevin throws away all of Sean's medicine. Sean kicks his brother's ass for that, yelling at him to grow up. Kevin feels awful that his life is going so well and Sean's isn't. He doesn't know what to do to help him out. He's too focused on his own future to worry too much. On their next practice, Ellie gives Kevin an incredible gift. She signed him up for a marathon, knowing that he didn't have money to pay for it. He's so happy that he tries to hug her, but she stops him before he can get closer. Before she leaves, Kevin returns her brother's sneakers to her, because he bought new ones that are better for him. Ellie is upset that he's giving them back, though she doesn't explain the reason why. She storms off, leaving behind a confused Kevin. The days leading to the marathon are spent with Kevin training hard. He's pushing himself too much, and Ellie gets worried about his health. On the day before the marathon, he falls and hurts himself badly. Ellie takes him to the doctor, and he's informed that he won't be able to run again for a long time. He can't believe his bad luck. Ellie feels sorry for him, but when he refuses to give up on the marathon, she's mad. She thinks he's being irrational, and he could hurt himself even more. Kevin doesn't care. He's certain he can conquer his pain and win. Angry, Ellie informs him that she won't be watching him. During the marathon, Kevin is limping. He tries his best, pushing himself to the limit. Sean also shows up to offer him support. Almost at the finish line, one of the boys who trained at the school pushes Kevin to the ground. His leg fails, and he can't get up again. Sean is almost at the finish line. He can already taste the victory and all the money he will take home. When he turns back and sees his brother on the ground, though, he changes his path. Instead of moving forward to win, he attacks the guy who pushed Kevin and loses the marathon. Kevin can't move. Ellie suddenly shows up to help him out and takes him to the finish line on her bike. She wants Kevin to watch the winner and keep some motivation for the future. Sean gets second place, and he's angry. He can't believe he wasted a good opportunity for his stubborn brother. They go back to the school so Ellie can care for Kevin. After feeling excruciating pain in his leg, he knows his career is as good as done. Ellie knows it too. Kevin asks how she got her scars, and she finally explains that it was an accident. She was running on the Silk Road Marathon and got lost in a sandstorm. She hides her scar from Kevin's eyes, as if she's ashamed of it, but Kevin says that they look like a map of the Silk Road. Ellie is taken aback by his tender and compassionate words. Time seems to stand still as they lock eyes, their gaze fixed upon one another, immersing themselves in a deep connection that transcends words. Kevin slowly gets closer to Ellie, and she waits for the moment their lips will finally seal. It never happens. Kevin's pain and shame prevent him from moving forward. He starts crying quietly, and Ellie can't bear it. She understands his pain more than anyone ever could. She comforts him, holding him close to her, as if she can lend him her strength. Later on, after she leaves Kevin's quarters, she goes running by herself. She pushes herself to the limit, feeling her heart beating painfully in her chest. She tries going further, but it's pointless. She can't move forward, no matter how hard she tries. Overwhelmed by emotions, she crumples to her knees, succumbing to her anguish. Tears cascade uncontrollably from her eyes, becoming a cathartic release for the pain that weighs heavily on her. Kevin's outburst triggered her own feelings of inadequacy and loneliness. She remembers her brother and how his dreams were also interrupted by the strike of fate. It's not fair to Kevin that his dream was cut short before he even got the chance to enjoy it. The following day, Ellie leaves without saying goodbye to Kevin. She feels as if she has to separate herself from his life before she spirals into her depression again. When Kevin finds out, he tries running after her, but it's too late. She already left. Without his coach and with his leg hurt, Kevin has no other option but to return home. His father is sick, and he's not happy to see him again. He calls Kevin worthless for wasting his time. Kevin is angry at himself and the world. He hates that his father was right in the end, that running is pointless. Not knowing what else to do, he becomes a taxi driver like his father. Days go by, and Kevin slowly gets accustomed to his new reality. He still misses Ellie fiercely. On one of his rides, a passenger leaves a magazine behind. The magazine talks about an ultramarathon in the USA. A sliver of hope invades him as he reads about it. The marathon isn't easy, and he would have to save money to pay for the expenses. Kevin goes back to practicing and doing physical therapy. He's motivated to show the world, and Ellie, that he can overcome his difficulties. With a lot of hard work and determination, Kevin gets ready to run again. One day, things take another hard turn when his brother enters his taxi, running from the police. Kevin quickly escapes, but then he gets into a physical fight with Sean. He can't believe his brother is still in a life of crime, even with his baby. What he doesn't understand is that Sean also needs some help. Kevin doesn't know what to do to help him. He's useless when it comes to feelings. He can barely help himself. After their fight, Sean offers Kevin an opportunity to chase after his dream. Kevin knows it's wrong and dangerous, but he accepts. Sean hugs him as Kevin screams his pain and anger at how unfair life is. They are two kids trying to do their best, but life keeps pulling the rug right out from under them. Kevin helps Sean deliver some illegal medicine, but Sean ends up being arrested. As he watches his brother being arrested, Ellie and a man enter his taxi. When he notices her, he can't believe his eyes. She looks as beautiful as always. Kevin is conflicted. He hates to see his brother being arrested, but Ellie is close to him after months away. In the end, he chooses her. As they go to their destination, Ellie notices the marathon magazine and writes a message for Kevin inside. It's an invitation to meet her at a broken bridge. The following day, Kevin runs there. Ellie shows up wearing a pretty dress. Kevin wonders who the man with her in the taxi is, and she replies that it's her fiancé. It's a punch to the gut to Kevin. He swallows his jealousy and anger, wondering why she invited him there. She offers him an envelope with his entry to the American Ultramarathon. There's even money for the flight and hotel stay. It's a lot of money. Kevin doesn't want to take her charity, especially not when it comes from her fiancé. He rips apart the envelope, and Ellie yells at him to stop being childish. Kevin snidely says that he isn't her brother, but Ellie doesn't see him as her brother at all. They don't part on good terms. Kevin goes to the USA to race in the ultramarathon, and it's an amazing experience. He appears on the TV, making his father proud for the first time in his life. In the USA, he makes some friends and has a lot of fun. Running in extreme conditions is cathartic. During one of his breaks, he has a surprise. Ellie came to see him. He smashes her against him, forgetting their grievances. He can't believe that she took the time to see and support him. It's a burst of motivation for him. What he doesn't know is that Ellie's heart condition is worsening. She wants to spend as much time as possible with him. Before it's too late, Ellie jokes that she's getting married, but she will wait for him. Kevin finally confesses to loving her, and he swears to fight for her when the time comes. When it's time for her to go, she kisses him on the forehead and asks him to take care of himself. Kevin continues the marathon, running to the finish line so he can hurry back to Ellie. Sometimes he has nightmares that she's marrying her fiancé, and it makes him anxious. On the last day of the marathon, he's almost winning when his friend trips. Instead of continuing and winning the race, Kevin goes back to help his friend out. They cross the finish line together. For Kevin, it's not about the money anymore. It's about doing what everyone said was impossible for him. After so many difficulties, he finally won. Kevin ends up in the top 3. His father is so proud of him that he leaves his bed and runs, screaming out loud that his son is a winner. Kevin goes back to China after the marathon, and the first place he goes is to the church. There's a wedding happening, but it's not Ellie's. A woman there recognizes him and informs him that Ellie is at the hospital. Her heart condition got worse and she needs to stay at the hospital. When Kevin shows up, she's looking sickly and frail. He immediately wants to cry. Ellie opens her eyes and sees him after a long time. She's glad that he made it to her, just like he said he would. Ellie weakly confesses to Kevin that she had a dream that she wants to share with him, but it's impossible. She dreams of running all over the world with him. Before she gives her last breath, she pleads to Kevin to find her again through a time machine. Kevin can't believe it when Ellie stops responding. The doctors and nurses invade the room, pushing him aside. Hours later, Kevin finds out Ellie passed away. It destroys him. Everything good he was feeling disappears. The only thing he can feel is anger at the world, at himself, for not going back with her when he had the chance. He had no idea she was so sick. Ellie's fiancé, who is also a doctor at the hospital, gives Kevin the pair of sneakers that belonged to her brother. He finally tells him Ellie's story, something she failed to do. Her brother passed away in the same accident she hurt herself, and Ellie had survival guilt. For years, she carried the weight of guilt and depression. It was only with Kevin that she could look forward instead of backward, to her painful past. When Kevin learns that the love of his life passed away, Sean begs his boss to let him go. He's tired of working and doing something he despises. He's deep into debt with the man, though. The boss says that he will have to pay him before he gets to leave. Sean's mad and physically fights everyone around him. He threatens his boss with a scalpel, but in the end, he can't do it. He's overwhelmed and taken to a surgery room. When he wakes up again, he finds himself inside a dirty tub filled with ice. His boss took his kidney as payment for his debt and released him. Sean hurriedly leaves and goes to his girlfriend's house. There, he crumbles, regretting every choice he ever made. Kevin is so depressed after losing Ellie that he asks Sean if there are any jobs for him. Sean can't believe his brother is being so stupid, not after the trouble he went through to make his dreams come true. He yells at Kevin to leave his shell and stop being a coward. Sean's outburst snaps Kevin out of his stupor. He goes back to the orphanage and finds out it's being closed due to a lack of finances. After talking to Minnie, he knows exactly what he can do in Ellie's memory. He's going to race on the Silk Road Ultramarathon to raise money for the orphanage. Months later, Kevin finds a wolf that was shot and helps him out. Then he finds a camp and steals food. Unfortunately for him, the owners of the camp aren't happy that he's stealing, and they have guns. Kevin is shot, yet fights for his life. The wolf he helped suddenly appears to help him out, fighting with the men. In the meantime, Sean finds out that Ellie is still alive, through his former coach. When he goes to the hospital to visit her, he discovers that Ellie has been lying to Kevin this whole time. The man she said was her fiancé is actually her doctor. The doctor explains to Sean that Ellie lied to Kevin because she didn't want him to stop his life to take care of her. Her heart is failing, and she needs a transplant. The issue is that no doctor in the hospital wants to do the surgery, because it's high risk. Sean is shocked and angry. His brother was grieving for her, and now he is in the middle of nowhere, running in her name. Thinking about his brother's happiness, Sean once again does something harsh. He kidnaps Ellie from the hospital, along with the heart that is compatible with her. He takes her to his boss and begs him to do the surgery for her. He gives him the money he received from his kidney, and the boss agrees. The issue is that the police are coming for them. Before the surgery can be performed, the police invade the place and arrest Sean and the others. Without the heart, Ellie passes away. Unbeknownst to Kevin, his race raised enough money for the orphanage, and they won't shut anymore. After he managed to escape the skirmish in the desert, he continued running. He's almost at his wit's end, exhausted, but he keeps going. When he's close to the finish line, he takes a break. He enters a river with a view of a mountain and starts crying. He sees someone approaching, and when he looks up, he can't believe his eyes. It's Ellie. She's wearing the same clothes as the first time they met. She approaches him silently and kisses his forehead. Kevin dreams that she's running with him, happy and healthy. Kevin might never know what happened to Ellie. He might not even make it to the finish line. It doesn't matter to him. Through his hard work and perseverance, Kevin learned that winning is not always everything. Kevin's motivation for running extended beyond his dedication to helping the orphanage. It was a means to reunite with Ellie and feel her presence once more. As he expressed earlier, running is like a time machine, transporting him back to the moments they shared. With each mile he conquers, memories of their time together kindle a warm glow in his heart, propelling him onward. Ellie became the wind at his back. They might not have a happy ending, but the treasure of their joyful memories is enough to satisfy Kevin. As long as he continues running, he will never forget the sound of her voice, of her laughter, or even the harsh manner in which she chastised him.